And so I'm going to say something outrageous. I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done in the United States Senate. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
This is Joe Biden. In his capacity as the President of the United States, Biden essentially has one job, and that's to get out in front of the cameras 4 to 5 times a week to read prepared remarks from a giant teleprompter. But unfortunately for Joe Biden and America, he's really bad at his job.
Good morning. Today, another great day for our economic recovery. Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America. Made in America. And that's not hyperbole. I'm not joking about that, as you know. I'm so proud to announce 21 awardees up on the screen here who each receive between 25 million and 65 million jobs. In a city like Philadelphia, New York, the big city, Chicago, cost you $12,000 to $14,000 a month for child care. They're still determined to eliminate the Affordable Care Act. And by the way, if they do, that means, not a joke, everybody, that's why we were defeated in 2018 when they tried to do it. We went to 54 states. Republicans came across the aisle and they've worked with us, and we got it done. Over $1.2 billion to reshape this nation's infrastructure.
Wow, $1.2 billion for the entire country. That's like a week's worth of infrastructure. Now, of course, he wasn't paying attention and should have said 1.2 trillion. But it wouldn't be a Joe Biden speech without Brandon screwing it up.
For more than 40 years, U2 has changed the world. 150 albums sold, among the most ever. Today, we're announcing the United Airlines has agreed to offer cargo space for Kendall NutriCare for the delivery of 3.7 bottles of the formula. American manufacturing is surging with 700 new manufacturing jobs created and many more to come. And the order, and that increases the total vaccine order from 400 million order to 600 million. This is enough vaccine to fully vaccinate 300 Americans. But we want to make, look, I want to repeat, it'll be enough to fully vaccinate 300 Americans. We're going to talk about commercial aircraft flying at subsonic speeds, supersonic speeds. Be able to figuratively, if we decided to do it, traverse the world in about an hour, travel 21,000 miles an hour.
So Biden is saying that commercial aircraft are going to fly at speeds of 21,000 miles an hour. For reference, you know the test flight from Top Gun Maverick? That aircraft reached Mach 10, which is roughly 7,612 miles per hour. A speed that has only been achieved in real life with an unmanned aircraft. And when I pointed this out on Twitter, I got responses like, "I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he meant 2,100, dumb f***." Except the Earth has a circumference of nearly 25,000 miles. So I'm not sure how you can traverse the world in an hour by only going 2,100 miles an hour. But congratulations, you played yourself. Joe Biden is the only president in history that gets the privilege of being given the benefit of the doubt. Oh, he misspoke. What he meant to say was... But what he means to say and what he actually says are 2 very different things.
You know, we have roughly 350 million people vaccinated in the United States.
So Joe Biden, reading from a card that was in his jacket pocket, said 350 million Americans, which equals 106% of the population, is vaccinated, which is wrong, obviously. But watch what happens when he's afforded an opportunity to give the correct figure.
I said, well over, what's the number again? I remind myself, 350 million Americans have already been vaccinated.
And of course, the press ran cover for him. a White House official clarifies that the president meant 350 million doses have been administered. And look, if Biden misspeaking was a rarity or a once-in-a-while occurrence, it could be overlooked. But Biden makes these kind of mistakes every single day. Hell, he keeps referring to his vice president as the president.
Now, when President Harris and I took a virtual tour of a vaccination center in Arizona, last week, President Harris and I stood in the United States Capitol. And that's why I asked President Harris to travel to the region last August. But all kidding aside, of course, President Harris is a proud Howard alum. It was also Kamala's birthday. Happy birthday, great president.
81 million votes, guys. 81 million votes. Next, you may remember this clip from the now infamous 60 Minutes interview.
You are the oldest president ever.
Pretty good shape, huh?
Some people ask whether you are fit for the job. And when you hear that, I wonder what you think.
Watch me. I mean, honest to God, that's all I think. Watch me.
Watch me, he says. Watching Joe Biden is like watching a slow-motion train wreck.
If you think I don't have the energy level or the mental acuity, then you know.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you Exhibit A.
What are you talking about?
Tim Ryan in Ohio said he doesn't want you there. Warnock said wouldn't say. Do you think they're making a mistake?
No, there by 16 there I've already gone in for yet, and a lot more are asked. Another 20 or so. So I'm going to be going in.
16 there I've already gone in for yet, and a lot more are asked.
You know, if I can digress for just a second, last night I was on the television. I was on the telephone. When I raised that before, some of you looked at me like, where have you been, Biden? You've been spending too much in China or something. I haven't been to China.
How would you say your mental focus is?
Oh, it's focused. I haven't. Look, America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping. If you go to vaccines.com,
Watch me.
if you're wondering where to go, again, visit vaccines.com. Visit vaccines.gov, or text your zip code to 438829.
Or 30330, whatever.
If you get any questionable calls, please tell us by going to report fraud, DOTFTC.gov. My message to fraudsters looking to cheat the American people is don't do it. We're going to hold you accountable. If you're a survivor and you have any cell service, go to 1-800-621-3362.
If you're a survivor of a natural disaster, the last thing you should be doing is wasting your time watching Joe Biden try to read a phone number.
1-800-621-3333. I'm missing up. You know, my dad used to say every family is a little bit of breathing room.
My dad used to say every family is a little bit of breathing room.
Ah, yes, bringing up his magical family. In nearly every single speech, Biden quotes his dad or his grandmother and grandfather, like this one.
Every time I'd walk out of my Grandpa Finnegan's home up in Scranton, he'd yell, Joey, keep the faith. And my grandmother would yell, no, Joey, spread it.
And Biden has told this tale more times than the number of days you've been alive.
I used to have a grandpa. He'd yell, Joey, keep the faith. And my grandmother yelled, no, Joey, spread it.
So Grandma Finnegan was like, spread it, Joey. Now Biden's told this story so many times that it's practically muscle memory at this point, which is why it's amusing when he screws it up.
As my grandfather Finnegan used to say every time I walked out the door in Scranton, he'd say, Joey, keep the faith. Then he'd say, no, Joey, spread it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Biden just erased Grandma Spread It from the story. Come on, man.
Every time I'd walk out of my grandpa's house, I'd say, Joey, go out, and he says, spread the faith. And my grandma would say, no, Joey, no, Joey.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Holler, holler. Not just keep the faith, spread it. Do you realize the bullet out of an AR-15 travels 5 times as rapidly as a bullet shot out of any other gun? What purpose is to have a gun a bullet can travel 5 times the speed of an ordinary bullet?
So according to Joe Biden, weapons expert, the AR-15 is a magic gun that fires bullets that travel faster than any gun on the planet. And even though it's apparent that he honestly believes this, Joe Biden was, yet again, given the benefit of the doubt. It's not like he's lying about the AR-15, he bungled the talking point. And the Washington Post's fact checker stated, regular readers know that we don't play gotcha, so this won't be rated. Joe Biden has gotten more things wrong about firearms and the Second Amendment than the number of days Biden's been alive, which is like 1 million or something.
And I might add, the Second Amendment from the day it was passed limited the type of people who could own a gun and what type of weapon you could own. You couldn't buy a cannon. But from the very beginning, the Second Amendment didn't say you can own any gun you want, as big as you want. You couldn't buy a cannon when, in fact, the Second Amendment passed. What do you think, the deer you're hunting or wear Kevlar vests? What the hell you need 20 bullets for? You must be a hell of a terrible shot. I'm serious, think about it. Ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines hold up to 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? My legislation says there can be no more than 8 bullets in a round, okay? What we're gonna do on us with assault weapons and have able to have 300 rounds in a magazine, and I mean, what you say on those things is gonna determine how I'm gonna vote for you.
Pro tip, don't vote for a politician that believes 300-round magazines exist. And don't vote for Joe Biden in 2024.
Right now, in all 50 states in the District of Columbia. Now, I don't like to, outline the next steps we're taking against, I'd like to outline the next steps we're taking against the Omicron variant. Now, here's what drives the driver in the states that are affected. Here's what you can do, the drivers. Don't panic, number one. Donating more than 1 million doses of COVID-19 to the West Bank and Gaza.
Now, obviously, Biden doesn't write his own speeches, and that's fine. He has people for that. But the problem is that it's very, very apparent that he doesn't read them ahead of time. And more often than not, he's completely clueless about what he's reading.
The rule is very simple. Get vaccinated or wear a mask until you do. It's vax-ed or masked. Next year, commercial operations are going to begin. And today, TSMC has announced a second major investment. They will construct a second fab here in Phoenix to build chips, 3 nano chips, the 3 nano chip. Chips that are 3 nano, and you know what I'm saying.
No one knows what Joe Biden is saying, especially Joe Biden.
Nano, no, I don't know. The jobs. Folks, the promise of equality is not going to be fulfilled until we becomes real. Women, I'm just a quote now from the majority. Women are not without electoral or political power. It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. The International Energy Agency recently concluded that our significant climate investment will, quote, help turbocharge turbocharge the emerging global clean energy economy. I was reading their quote, sorry. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. I know I've said that constantly, and others have as well. the vaccination of the unvaccinated. We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy and the guys who are the kleptocracies.
And that's mostly it for now. Follow me on Twitter at Don't Walk Run. A special thanks to Poofy for her help with the video, and be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. As always, I hope to see you next time, if there is a next time.
But look, let me ask a rhetorical question. No, I won't. Anyway. And there's simply no reason for it. This is the United States of America, for God's sake. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.